Support for the Civic TV network comes from viewers, readers, and listeners like you, and organizations such as the Berlin Science Week and the New York City Economic Development Corporation. Visit civicscitv.org to learn more about our network of programs.
Mapping the global landscape of civic science by dissecting new insights from researchers, practitioners, and leaders in academia, government, for-profit, and nonprofit organizations. This is Questions of the Day with Fanuel Muindi.
All right, welcome to Questions of the Day program. My name is Fanuel Muindi and I am your host. Now, about a year ago, I got a chance to talk with Tracy Drinkwater, the founder and president of the Seattle Universal Math Museum, or SUMM, in Seattle. So I'm very thankful to welcome you back, Tracy. And joining her this time along is Jenny Quinn, the you're now the current executive director of SUMM. Welcome to the both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to get us going, for those who did not, I encourage people to watch that conversation with me and Tracy exactly a year ago, by the way, exactly a year ago. Tracy, can you tell us what is the Seattle Universal Math Museum?
It is an organization that is sparking the love of math in each and every person. That is our mission, to show people that math is fun and beautiful and creative. We engage with community and help people to see through hands-on play that math is more than what they learned in school. And so what we're trying to show is that there's so much to love about it, and that it's not about two-dimensional black and white worksheets. And just about calculations. It's 3D, full color, and I try to show that by wearing my math on the outside, and Jenny is the same. So we've got a nerdy attitude about it, but we're trying to show that it's cool and fun as well. And so when we see people playing with math, and by people I mean from like 2-year-olds up until senior citizens, playing with math and engaging with a puzzle or a game or kind of object that they're building with component parts, that they're experiencing math in a new way. And it's really inspiring young people to learn math. And it's also helping a lot of people with their math trauma if they have been through an experience previously where math was really difficult for them and they felt some either shame around it or felt like they weren't smart because they weren't doing math the way that it was being taught. We're trying to show that it can be explored and learned in multiple ways, but especially in a hands-on way, because we lost a lot of kinesthetic learners over the years when we teach it in a very sit down, copy me problems over and over again, and see how you do on a test. So we don't have any tests or quizzes in the museum. It's all about objects that can be touched. It's not a bunch of slide rules and calculators behind glass. It's about an abacus, which is one of the most prevalent symbols of math that we don't teach in schools typically. We help people use an abacus. We have a large one. We've had programs where we use an abacus and how to use it because it's been at one time it was the calculator that you brought to the marketplace, and sometimes it still is in some parts of the world. So learning about this history of math and the tools that have been used in every culture that we can have access to now, and teaching kids that their ancestors did math in sometimes unique ways, sometimes in similar ways, and then it's been shared all around the world. So we have a lot of this universality of math that we like to highlight, and it's in our names. We have a universal math museum, the universal language of problem solving, and it's used universally throughout our world and beyond into the universe. So
yeah, and so so this is the second math museum, right? The other one is in New York. So
in the United States. Globally, there are more.
Right. So Jenny, what about the mission compelled you to say, yes, I want to join?
Oh, what a fantastic question. I find that the work I do to feed my soul is about outreach to my community to create a positive mathematical culture. So this museum, I feel, was created for me. It is the culmination of everything I've done in my profession has led me here, and this is the perfect opportunity. Sort of following on something that Tracy just said, math is also hard, and that's okay. And I think that is part of the message. You don't have to be fast to be good at math. You don't have to always get it right to be good at math. What's important is engaging in the questions and sort of doing the mathematical thinking. What what can I take from this and generalize? What's the pattern that's out there that applies to other things? And seeing that is being a mathematician. And I believe everyone can be a mathematician.
Yeah, and so this goal of targeting a very diverse set of people, right? In your mission, you say you want to help kids discover math with hands-on experience that feels like play. Is the target audience? I'm assuming is kids, but of course the parents are bringing the kids to the spaces. So talk to me about who the target audience is here and how you're thinking about that.
Uh, for me, clearly, we're thinking sort of yeah, pre-K through middle school. Those are the critical years. I think early on, you love math. And you play with the manipulatives in your classes, and it's fun. But somewhere about middle school, people start to tell negative stories. I start to tell negative stories. If you ask me what my math journey has been, and you think about an axis where time is on the horizontal and my enjoyment of math is on the vertical, I would say that, I started out pretty positively. I had a lot of support as a family. It grew until the point I got to about middle school. And that was where we hit the timed tests, where I couldn't write anything down. I just had to know the answer. And I really didn't like it and tried to avoid it. And somewhere after we got past that type of class, my enjoyment began to grow again. I had people who encouraged me. That made all the difference in the world. The people I know who have succeeded had encouragement from the outside. So it's about reaching those children and encouraging them to continue to engage. But it's also about bringing the families together and helping the parents understand how to talk to their children about math. Again, it's back to that math is hard, but if you work at it and you ask questions about it, you can make progress on it. So I would love to have parents take a pledge to only be supportive about mathematics. And I would like to eradicate from our conversations the, oh, I was never very good at math.
Yeah, so lots in there, right? And so, Tracy, the last time you were on with me, you said this. You said our museum is growing fast, okay? And parents are saying, I wish this was around when I was a kid. Tracy, 1 year ago, a year has passed. Clearly, you're ramping things up. Jen is on board, right? So tell us what has happened the past year, and what's the next year going to look like.
I just want to piggyback on first what Jenny was saying, that is our focus, is because it is so important for children not to repeat the experiences that a lot of adults have had. But we are also, through these family programs, engaging with those parents and grandparents, to give them those experiences when they say what you just quoted, saying that they wish this had been around when I was a kid. I want them to now feel like they're getting what they needed as a kid and surprising themselves and their families maybe too, to then say, I am a math person, like we're all math people. so that they have that confidence going forward and that they can continue to learn about math, because we're all about lifelong learning, and it's never too late to pick up new skills, and it just takes a positive attitude, a growth mindset. So a year ago, I said that we were going to be hiring our first executive director because I'd been acting in that role. I thought it might happen sooner, but it took us a little time, but so worth the wait. As you can see, Jenny has just been the perfect fit for us. And it was serendipity that we ran into each other in January when we had a stall in our search. And, she was just, it was like a gift, another manifestation of wonderfulness that we experienced on this journey, this organization. We have been working on getting her started for the last 6 months. She had to finish up her role as a math professor at the University of Washington, Tacoma. And so again, just worth the wait. I'm so excited to have her on board. She started officially this week. So the other things that have happened are that we almost doubled our revenue again. We're going to see how the rest of this month plays out. But we have been about doubling each year over the last 3 to 4 years. And that's amazing progress. We would love to continue to double every year, but we know that that's really difficult. Our staff has more than doubled. We have 22 staff members as of this week. Most of them are part-time. It's about 8 or 9 full-time equivalents. So with the part-time staff, and most of the part-time staff are educators that run our programs. Our programs have bloomed as well. I wish I had more exact numbers, but I think we're probably on track for about 10,000 people we've impacted in this last fiscal year about to end. We are busting at the seams with our storage, with our calendar, with all of our programs. That's why we had to hire several more people for the summer activities. We have lots of demand for our programs, more than we can supply. So we've got programs with schools, both in school, after school, and evening math nights. We work with libraries. We have multiple library events in a month in a variety of library communities. We have work with other museums, like the Museum of Flight. We're there each month, tabling at their free night for their audiences. We do math that's related to flight and space. And so we also work with the Pacific Science Center, our local science museum, and that's been a great relationship as well, where we bring things to play with their audience because they don't have a lot of math in their space.
That's a lot of partnerships.
Yeah, it's a lot of partnerships. We're growing in all of those, and we're booking out into spring of 2025 now. So the program side has been a tremendous success, and we want to grow that, but we also need a space. So now that we have our executive director on board, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. So Jenny, what's first on your agenda?
Wow. My priority right now is to dig into what has been done so far in terms of locating a space, just getting up to speed with that, because I see that as the greatest priority. The first question people ask when I tell them I just took this great job is like, "Oh, great, where are you? I want to come visit." And my answer is we are everywhere, because we don't have a bricks and mortar location yet. And the only place you'll find us is out in the community, right? But we want a bricks and mortar location. There has been planning for it now for 2 years, and it's just me getting up to speed and then pushing that train a little harder to make the decision as to where to go and what to invest in. And then it's so exciting because we can start fabricating small exhibits and testing them and seeing what can happen.
Yeah, Yeah. So Tracy, you said 10,000 students impacted. Is that right? You said that
That's
earlier.
an estimate right now.
Yes.
We're working on those final numbers. And then we should have them in a few days. But yes,
Okay.
I
So,
think that it may be more than that, but I don't want to overestimate.
oh yeah, so it's more about, from the last conversation we had, this is an area we did not talk much about: evaluation, right? And thinking about impact.
Mhm.
What does it
Yeah.
mean, and how are you, what do you have your pulse on, right? To say, okay, if this happens, we know we're on the right track. So can you unpack that 10,000 or whatever that number is, and just more broadly zoom out and tell us, how are you thinking about impact and evaluation? This is to the both of you. Jenny, as you coming in, how are you thinking about evaluation and impact, right? And talking about it. So let's start with Tracy first.
Sure. So at each event, we make an estimate of how many people are there. We try to count, but it's sometimes so busy that it's hard to be exactly accurate. But we count adults and youth separately. And then we get an aggregate number for that event. And so there are one-off events that we count, and then there are series of events. So we'll have a program that is every Saturday for families to come to a space and play with math that lasts 8 weeks. And then we've also got after-school programs that last for a quarter at a particular elementary school, and we have so many children in that, and how many of them showed up. So there's a lot of nuances to counting, like are they repeat customers, or if they showed up at a library and they're in one of the programs and they came to the Museum of Light, they get counted each time. So because it's too hard to discern who showed up where and when exactly. But overall, it helps us gauge our impact and our growth, because we started doing events in 2021. We were piloting a couple as we were emerging from the closure of the pandemic effect. And then we were kept growing and growing each year. And so we impacted about 1,000 people that first year that we were really doing more programs, and then it at 4,000, and then we thought we were on track for 8,000, but I think we've exceeded that. So that's why I'm estimating 10,000 for by the end of this fiscal year. So we're working on getting all those sums together so that we can give an aggregate number there. But we're also looking at that evaluation piece of, okay, there's an impact on the number of people. What about those individuals made it impactful for them? And so at most of our programs, and if it's a one-off or if it's a series, at the end of it, we'll do evaluations. We ask 3 main questions. Did you have fun playing with math? Did you learn anything new about math? And would you come to another SUMM event? Those are, because we can measure attitudes. We're not giving tests and quizzes. We don't have a score for you. We don't want to be about that kind of evaluation of achievement. We want to measure, did you have a good time and would you come back, are some of the most important things about whether this model is a sustainable model, right? And that did you notice that the thing you were playing with was actually math and that you learned from it? We're not teaching directly. We are providing a learning environment, and our educators are facilitators of learning. And so they're asking questions. It's like inquiry-based learning, exploration, discovery with your own self and your mind and with others in community. So we have people playing independently, people playing in groups. When you play a math game, you're with a group. So there's lots of ways to impact them, but we want a quick survey that they will actually do. And we find that the very basic putting a sticker on a poster is the best way to get people engaged with that evaluation. When we give them a QR code, hardly anybody wants to do a survey on a QR code, even if we say, really, it's only 3 questions. Kids love to put those stickers on, and we have a Likert scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where 5 is the highest score and 1 is the lowest score, and we consistently get answers to those questions. The did you have fun playing math and would you come back again are usually in the average is between 4 and 5. And the did you learn something new about math is closer to 4. Last I checked, that may be changing as I've been we hire more people. I don't do as much at the ground level anymore. But that's a really interesting thing, is because we get this question for people when they're playing with what we know is math, but it doesn't look like school math. And they say, is this math? Like, where's the math? And we're like, this is math too. Geometry is math. Playing with puzzles and figures and building things is math that you don't realize necessarily because you're not seeing a number. When you're folding origami, there's an order of steps, and there are these angles and creases that you make. Some people have a hard time making that leap from this is art to this is math. When we're doing music programs, they're like, oh, there's math and music too. And we like to show how math is really in everything. And we can do a program about something that is surprising, like to mix math plus something else. So we had a math haunted house last October that was fabulous, and we're going to be doing that every year. And it's math and drama. And so it's great to see people discover these mishmash of math plus something they already love. And that is the goal, to bring them together and help it resonate with people and help them go, wow, that was really fun, because I got to learn something new and have something familiar that I love along with it.
Jenny, do you want to add anything?
So I will say assessment has many different facets, and Tracy did a lovely job talking about the impact on people. There, of course, is impact on the organization and impact on the community. And there's always the bottom line, which is money. So things that we look at as metrics are what proportion of our revenue is going towards programs versus going towards administration versus going towards fundraising. And obviously, we want our program portion to be as large as possible. We're aiming to make sure that 50% or more of our revenue is spent towards programs. That is our priority. We also want to see increases in followers on social media. We have metrics there that we're trying to follow, just to see that the word is getting out into the community and people are learning what we're doing and will want to become involved.
Yeah, and you mentioned the word community. I was wondering if you can speak to the local community in Seattle. Who's surrounding you? We know, of course, Boeing is there, all these other companies, but tell us about the people that are there in your communities. Who are they? And I know you don't have a space yet, right? This is a high order item. But I'm curious if you've surveyed the local populace there.
Should I take that one?
Sure.
So Seattle, we're more than Seattle. So Seattle's in our name. That's true. We do a lot of work in Seattle, but we're also looking at data to see where can we have the most impact, where our test scores are useful in seeing how achievement is going in different communities. And it's really tragic to see how some communities are doing better than others. Some school districts in more affluent communities do much better, and some communities do not. And so we're looking to have as much impact as we can in areas, we call them communities of opportunity, and we didn't make up that word, but where we can help lift and change the cycle of poverty and lift people up so that they can graduate from high school, go on to college, study a STEM degree, and get some of the very lucrative STEM jobs that are here in our community with a lot of these very famous companies. So if a kid does not feel engaged in math and they're not motivated to learn, their trajectory is threatened. And so a lot of times when kids don't graduate from high school, it's because of the math. And so we want to make sure that kids, and this is why kids are our primary focus, that they are able to find their path, whether they go into a math field or not. They're going to need math in whatever they do. Mathematical thinking, like Jenny said, is what's important. It's not about memorizing math facts and formulas. It's about understanding the language of problem solving and knowing what's possible and finding the tools and the support you need to find those solutions. And so when we look at test scores for the whole state, 50% of our children in Washington state are not meeting or exceeding the standard of the Common Core standards according to our test scores. And then when you look at it, break it down by school district or by line it up with demographics, we see that a lot of our Black and brown children are, and our students with disabilities, because a lot of times it's a math disability or related to it, they're doing much worse than 20 or 50%. And so how can we make sure and there's the girls tend to achieve well in math, but they don't always go on to those STEM careers. We want to make sure we're addressing why is that? Why do girls not see themselves? And a lot of women in our organization, we all have a math story about why we maybe didn't do as much math as we wanted to. I wanted to be a math major in college, and I got discouraged finally at the end of my freshman year. That was the first time I had a teacher that I didn't feel had confidence in me. I had a really hard time learning from. And so that is a very unique story in that it took that long. A lot of women were told much younger that they were not a math person, or they had a parent saying, you must have got my best math gene. We want to eliminate that and make sure every child feels like I have the potential to do whatever I want with math. I just have to see it in a new way and develop a growth mindset about it and be less perfectionist about it. So anyway, our communities, we have done lots of listening sessions in our Black and brown communities. We are focusing a lot of our efforts in South King County, where there's a higher level of diversity than in Seattle proper, or on the east side, which is a more affluent community as well. And so we're trying to, I want to make sure we're seeing that diverse piece does correlate, but it's not causation for some of the achievement. And we want to make sure that we're hiring people and having examples within our programs of all very diverse backgrounds doing math and succeeding in math and enjoying math, and so that we can model for them. Because the majority of our teachers, especially in elementary school, are white women, and a lot of boys of color are not seeing role models for themselves in that setting. And so we're really working to see how we can work alongside community, get feedback on our ideas, get new ideas. We have a consultant for family engagement that helps us with a lot of that. She helped us recruit a family advisory council of parents and students in the broader community that are mostly people of color that give us feedback and ideas. We have a teacher advisory council as well, so that we can get input from teachers at a variety of age levels. We're constantly trying to recruit more people, participation, and being stakeholders in our organization, so that we can make sure that this is an organization that is not only for the community, but by the community. We want to make sure we're providing something that the community wants as buy-in for and support.
Yeah.
And is exciting to have in their community. So we created a problem in that everybody wants it in their backyard. And so we're looking at, do we have multiple sites? We definitely want to continue to be everywhere and do the outreach that Jenny talked about, because going to the community is so important. That's some of the feedback we have, and we see how important that is. More people show up when you go into their community. If we were just in Seattle all the time, like downtown Seattle, we're not going to get as many people from the broader community that we think would benefit from these experiences. So the outreach will always be important, but we need space to store things, workspace for our staff. We would like to control some of our own space for the programs. It's more practical for us, but also do the programs in other spaces. And then the exhibits, we are working on the design phase. We have prototypes that are about to be fabricated, and we want those to be portable so that we can have them in a temporary, not temporary, but in an initial small space, and then test them out. We're also testing out at other museums and fairs and things, and then we can have those also go into another thing that we're hoping to have is a van, a mobile to contribute to that depth of outreach that we can do. And maybe someday we'll have a whole.
So there's a lot going on in there, and I love the listening setup that you have, right? You're listening to the community and being responsive. I wish we could just keep on talking, and it's clearly we're gonna need to have both of you or one of you back here sooner, maybe less than a year, to keep us posted about the development. So I want to finish things up with you, Jenny, and just thinking about you. So you are at the beginning of your journey, right? With SUMM, I believe you're 1 week in.
3 days.
3 days. 3 days. And you said earlier that you're now digging into understanding SUMM, right? Figuring out what it's doing. I was wondering if you can just tell us what questions are guiding you as you are doing this process. You're embedding yourself, into SUMM and in the communities. What questions are driving you right at the moment as you explore?
Well, whenever I think about what we're doing or why we're doing it, I simply compare it back to the mission, right? Is this something that is going to spark each and every person to love math? Is this something that's bringing math to life? Is this some way we are collaborating with our community? Are we engaging all learners? Are we embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion? Are we inspiring creativity? And are we just bringing that playful spark of fun and joy? And if what I'm reading doesn't do that, then I ask Tracy, why are we doing this? Because everything has to be on mission. And even as we're looking at locations, right, there are beautiful locations that don't get us within reach of the communities we want to be serving. It's like, oh, it'll be so fun. And someone is like, and I won't have a long commute. But you know what? That's not why we're doing this. We're doing this. I was at the University of Washington, Tacoma, and that is an urban serving university. And for a long time, I asked myself, how can I be a mathematician and serve my community? And to me, this is it. This is the biggest difference I could make to my community, is creating a resource that welcomes everyone in. So I believe in the mission, and everything we do has to be a part of that.
There's no better place to wrap up this conversation. I thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fanuel.